and welcome to another whistleblowing episode of We Only Look Thin. I am Katherine Weigel. I am one of your hosts. I have lost over 120 pounds and kept it off for over 6 years.
Yeah.
I'm a Tiny Habits certified coach, a Thrive Global certified coach, and with me today on the witness stand is...
Donald Weigel, witness for the prosecution, and I am here to blow the whistle because blowing whistles is a good form of NEAT, and you can burn calories when you blow. If you blow a whistle enough, you will burn enough calories.
Objection.
I am one of the hosts of this show called We Only Look Thin. I've lost about 100 pounds. I've kept it off for about, 600 years, 6 years, I think. And we're here to talk about it. And we are here to talk about courtrooms and legal dramas and inside jobs and thinside jobs and whistleblowing, apparently.
Hello.
Hello.
We are doing something special and unique today that has nothing to do with the actual content of the episode. Donald, can you guess what it is? You love it when I put you on the spot with guessing what's happening.
No, I have no guess.
We are recording at 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, yeah.
That is not typically something
I
that
did know
we
that,
do.
actually. Yeah,
but yeah, like, nobody can tell other than us what's happening.
We almost always record these in the morning and almost always fairly early in the morning.
Yeah. And this morning, not more than maybe 2 hours ago, we didn't even think we were going to podcast today. We were going to try to push it down the road.
I know. We were kicking the can down the road. We were looking for excuses not to do it today, but here we are.
Do they call it in trials? They call it a postponement?
A postponement,
sure. But then we were
that I'm not a lawyer, but TV has led me to believe that they call it a postponement.
Well, and I was like, well, our daughter's prom is tonight, so maybe we shouldn't record.
We have to drive her to prom in 7 hours. So there's obviously we can't do anything until then.
and then we have a kid's birthday party tomorrow, and then the Star Wars Day is coming up,
right?
And we might have a yard sale, and then there's Mother's Day, and so basically we were thinking about just stopping the podcast altogether.
Yeah,
very recently, and then we got our second wind.
Yeah,
and realized.
Now suddenly we're like, let's do it right now.
But what are those
Speaking of Mother's Day, when this comes out, it will have just been Mother's Day yesterday. It's not Mother's Day yet when we record it, but it will be Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers out there.
But you might also be, maybe you're listening to it, but maybe you're like, it's Mother's Day week. How can I possibly listen to an inspiring podcast?
Yeah.
With everything going on.
Well, I think you should ask yourself, or tell yourself you deserve a reward for being such a wonderful mother, and that is to listen to this inspiring podcast.
Oh, that's nice. If somebody has a mother out there, a mother lives near you.
Yeah, you probably have heard of mothers in some regard, and so.
And if you turn it upside down, you get wow.
Yeah,
mother. If you turn upside down, mother, you get wow, which is very important.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we're going to talk about, Donald, what is all this delay tactic? Is it real, or is it are those actual good reasons to stop the podcast?
No, those are excuses that we made up to kick our responsibilities down the road.
But Donald, I say that I want healthy habits, so I'm not sure why you're accusing me so.
Because I am the lawyer for the prosecution, and it's my job.
You already said that.
Yeah.
But I think the problem with this particular court case is that we're also the defendant.
Yeah.
I am the defendant and the prosecutor, which puts me in a very strange situation. I feel like that is a conflict of interest to be on both sides. Are you allowed to do that? Can you vote against, or no, what is it when you're married? It's mostly the reason we got married is so that we couldn't testify
against each other.
One another. That was why the rush? And I'm like, well, if there are going to be crimes, I don't want to have to rat on Donald.
Right.
Because there's nothing worse than a snitch.
Why the rush? We It took us like over 4 years. We were engaged for over 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was saying why the rush.
And we rushed into it. And also, speaking of which, when this comes out, our anniversary month, how are we supposed to podcast when it's the anniversary month?
Yeah, there's that.
There's so many good reasons.
So what is it that Catherine is leading up to? Well, we say, as she said, that we want to have healthy habits. We say we want to hit a goal weight. And how do you do that? Well, you do that by doing the things that a healthy person does, doing the things that a fit person does, doing the things that a person who weighs the weight you want to weigh does. And that means putting habits in place.
But Donald, look, I want the habits. Like I've already told you that.
Right.
I want the habits.
Right.
But there are circumstances beyond our control.
Yeah.
Circumstances that prevent me from doing what I want to do. So there's no way for me to actually become the person that I want to be.
Well, this is where you're wrong.
What?
That is an example.
Objection.
That is an example of a loophole. You're trying to invoke loopholes. And when we say we want to do these habits, it can be very difficult to actually put habits in place. When you're trying to build a habit, suddenly you become the most well-versed lawyer of the rules that you've put in place for yourself. Suddenly you know all of them, and you're like, Your Honor, in the case of Donald versus the donuts.
Sidebar. Which is like a maple glazed bar donut, I guess.
Right. The case of Donald versus the donuts, the precedent was set where my client deserves all the donuts he can eat because he's had such a very hard day.
I'm imagining you in a not expensive suit while you're...
No, it's not expensive. It's sort of a light tan cream color, and it's like wrinkled.
I feel like it sounds like George Costanza's suit in that one episode of Seinfeld where he gets the super duper expensive suit on sale and then realizes it makes a swishing sound.
It swishes, yeah.
It swishes. So just as long as you're up there lawyering as you do, lawyer up.
I imagine I look like some sort of like dollar store Matlock. Like I'm in like that kind of an outfit.
Did he wear a bolo tie?
Yeah, I think a bolo and a tan suit.
Okay,
and, yeah.
So you're like
I want to put on one of those like old timey Southern hats too.
Wow,
while I'm doing it. Yeah, if I'm gonna lawyer it up. But anyway, the point here is that suddenly when push comes to shove, and we're actually faced with doing the habits that we said we wanted to do, we can come up with all kinds of excuses to fool ourselves. And we have done episodes about this before, but it's been a while. Turns out the last time we talked about this was over 100 episodes ago.
That is, I don't understand how that happens. Just like I can't imagine our daughter is going to senior prom, I still imagine her in elementary school.
Yeah.
I kind of can't believe it's been 100 episodes.
Yeah. And so we are going to talk about Gretchen Rubin, who you may be familiar with. She's written books. She's got a podcast. She's got a blog, all kinds of things. She came up with, I believe she came up with 10 loopholes that people invoke in order to stop themselves from achieving their habits or putting the habits in place that they say they want to. And we've gone through them before, but this time we're going to go through them again, but we're going to do 3 of hers, and then Catherine has come up with 3 more.
I have. Guess what, Gretchen? I'm blowing it up. I got my own loopholes that you haven't even thought of. I mean, she talks about general loopholes in life.
Yeah.
But we make everything about weight loss.
Yeah, and, we're going to mostly make them about eating and exercising and trying to achieve your weight loss goal. And so here's the fun, interesting, exciting part of this, at least for me, is I've not heard Catherine's loopholes
That's
yet.
going to be fun.
So you're going to hear her loopholes at the same time I'm hearing them.
They're going to be shocking.
Yeah.
They're going to rock the foundations.
Yeah. So first we will get into the 3 of Gretchen Rubin's ones, and then we will do the Catherine loopholes, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. But before we get started, much to Donald's chagrin, can we actually talk about the movie Inside Job? Do you know that there's an actual movie called Inside Job?
Oh, I do. It's the Clive Owen one, right?
No.
Oh, no, that's the 25th hour. That's Inside. Yeah,
okay,
I'm confusing
I'm just going to say.
Okay.
Inside Job was actually a documentary
was
about
it?
the global financial collapse of 2008.
Wow, this sounds exciting and interesting.
No, do you remember the global financial collapse?
Sure.
And they were like trying to save America's car industry.
I don't have money, so I don't really care about financial collapse. Like my financial collapse is like every day.
Okay, but remember Enron?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, this episode is about Enron. But what it is,
okay,
our own worst enemy.
Yeah.
It turns out, if we're on trial, it's ourselves.
Yeah.
We're the ones that sabotage our best intentions. We are the ones that say we want one thing, but then do another. You actually, there was something that you mentioned the other day about like the companies working together. Like if you're selfish, then you're actually going to get more time, or you go to jail more frequently or something.
Yeah.
You go to jail more frequently.
Yeah, you go to jail more frequently. Yeah, no, there's a prisoner's dilemma, which is probably too long and complicated to go in on this podcast. But essentially, the idea is that in a lot of situations, taking a less selfish, if everyone would take a less selfish path, everyone would benefit. But our tendency as humans is to all try to take the most selfish path. And like, if there's only one bag of like the really good jelly beans and we all go for it, then only one of us is going to be happy because only one of us will get the really good bag of jelly beans.
Sharing is caring.
Whereas there might be like, 10% less good jelly beans. If we would like decide to all go for that, then we would all at least get some jelly beans.
So we're putting jelly beans on trial.
Yeah.
No, but the analogy that I was trying to make is that we often work in our own against our own best interest, and then wonder what happened. We still act like the victim, even though we are the ones perpetrating. When we look into the evidence and the playback cameras, we are actually the ones doing damage to ourselves.
Yeah, so it's another form of self-sabotage, which and I think one of the keys to hitting my goal weight was really realizing how much self-sabotage I was doing. And it's much harder for me to sabotage myself when I know that's what I'm doing. When I'm making up an excuse just to do the easy thing, just to like, eat all of the cheese. I'm looking around like, Your Honor, like who ate all of my cheese? And then it turns out it was just me. It's harder for me to do that when I'm not pretending, or when I realize I'm trying to pretend that I have a good excuse.
Yeah, unfortunately, the more you understand yourself and logic loopholes and competing desires, the more responsibility you get to take for your actions. But it's really hard to go backward once you realize what you're doing. It's hard to pretend like you don't know what it is. So anyway, if I could be any more obscure.
Okay, so let's get into the actual loopholes. So Gretchen Rubin's first loophole is the false choice loophole. And that is where you're saying you can't do something because of something else. In other words, I can't do this because I'm so busy doing that, which means, oh my goodness, there's no way I can exercise because I'm so busy doing something else. Or I can't make a helpful food choice right now because I'm too stressed. I need to make sure other people's needs are met before I meet mine. I can't afford a gym, so therefore I just can't exercise.
Right. And especially as we look toward the summer months, like how could I possibly come up with an exercise routine when the kids are home? How could I possibly, decide what I'm going to eat because I'm going to a party where I don't know what is even going to be available? Sort of saying it's all or nothing. Either I have complete control under perfect circumstances, or I have none. And that is short-sighted.
Yeah. And also I think that a lot of times we focus on a particular thing, like I can't, exercise, I can't meal prep, I can't, make an actual meal that's in my plan because I have too much going on at work or because I have too much going on with the kids. But then, we don't focus on the fact that we're also doing lots of things, other things that don't get us towards our goal. Like we're doom scrolling on Instagram, or we sit around, like we go down rabbit holes on the internet about various things. And we're doing all of these other things that we don't focus on, that we could instead be doing the thing that we say that we want to do. And what we don't acknowledge is that we're really just, choosing not to do the thing that we say that we want to do.
Right. And we're pushing it off to some other perfect condition that, we keep imagining that our future lives will somehow settle down, which we'll talk about more later. But getting into that point of that all or nothing, black or white, perfect conditions, or I won't do anything, is really short-sighted. And I know, it is part of being adaptable and having a growth mindset of, instead of saying I can't because, changing that to like, I can't do this ideal, but I can still blank. So it's, I can't go to the gym, but I can still get in a 5-minute walk. I don't know what they're going to serve at the party, but I can load up more on vegetables and, mingle with the cats that are at the party,
right?
Because that's what introverts do.
Yeah, but plus mingling with cats is awesome.
Yeah, no, it's great. But that, instead of just thinking it's all or nothing, in any circumstance, we can ask ourselves, what can I do with the time, resources, and money that I do have? So, unfortunately, it requires that we take accountability for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And it requires us to really look at the options. Like if we're fixated on like only going to the gym is real exercise, then we're not looking at the other forms of exercise that are available to us that we could be doing.
Yeah, and especially in the summer or at any time when your structure is different than your desired normal structure, whether it's vacations, people visiting, holiday parties, whatever it is, it's not like every single day is total chaos. Like you pretty much know there are going to be meals during the day. You pretty much know there's going to be a little bit of downtime, and you can adapt to the situation and make it work for you.
Okay, so what is Gretchen Rubin's second loophole, dear?
The second loophole is moral licensing. I've been so good, I've been so virtuous. That is the emoji with the little angel halo on top. If we're looking for visuals on this one,
right?
But it's the I've been so good. Oh my gosh, I've tracked so many days. Now I can go off. I've lost 10 pounds. Now I can let loose. It's also the now that school is out, I deserve a treat. Now that the project is over, I can really, splurge on something. Now that the kids are at camp, I can go back to eating bonbons on the couch, which is what I was led to believe that grown-up women did, watching their stories.
Watch your soap operas, yeah. Exactly. And, it's sort of, you're engaging in almost magical thinking that somehow the treat you're indulging in knows that you deserve it. And so it's going to give you a break, and it's not going to actually, count as a thing. Like the food is somehow going to magically not cause you to gain any weight when you eat it. And obviously that's not true. Well,
and I think too, and I've seen it recently of people saying, I've been so restrictive. Like, why can't I just do something I want to do? And I think that all or nothing, again, we don't talk about restriction. We talk about showing restraint. An idea, like the actual ideal isn't I've been good so I can X. It's more about integrating things that you like into your current plan so you don't have to feel like you're going on or off, or that you need a moral, like, reason to be able to eat a cookie. You don't need any permission from anyone. It's just, again, that portion decision, when you're going to have it, pairing it with something that we've talked about before. So, for example, if you really enjoy cake, like there's a delicious cake at our local bakery that I really enjoy. I don't buy the whole cake, just get a slice. Share it. We share a piece of cake, and it is a piece of cake to keep it in our plan because we share the piece of cake.
Yeah.
And that you don't need a reason. It's not a moral judgment of you were bad today, you were good today. This food is good, this food is bad. Sure, there are foods that are more nutrient dense. There are foods that fit in our plan, and being able to work those things like organically into our day feels a lot better than making it some sort of carrot for when I feel like I can justify it, then I'll include it. Living an actual normal human life, I think, means being able to fit things in without deserving it.
Yeah, just don't fit carrots in your cake, because carrot cake really
carrot cake is
be a
so
thing.
good. That's your honor. Objection.
So I also just wanted to bring up before we move on to the next one, the flip side of moral licensing, which Gretchen Rubin doesn't talk about. The flip side of it is, I've been so bad, I need to punish myself.
Ooh.
And a corollary to the flip side of that is, I failed again, so obviously I can't do it. So
nice.
People will use their inability, or I shouldn't say inability, they'll use the behavior that they don't want as an excuse to continue that behavior, because obviously if, I'm not fixable, I'm broken, I can't do this. And telling yourself that over and over again, you want it to be true. And it's really not true. You are capable of turning it around and enacting the habits that you want to have to get you to your goals.
Well, and I think part of that too is that situation where we say, I can't do it. This is just proof that I can't. Instead of pulling back a little bit and examining how all the pieces fell together to have you fail, saying to yourself, I know exactly what to do, I just can't get myself to do it. I don't think that is right. I don't think that is accurate, because a lot of times we're asking something of ourselves that is too strict, too intense, and being able to pull back and go well, how could you make this part of your plan?
Right.
Rather than, well, it's obvious that I'll never be able to do this because I can't ever have what I want. So
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So Gretchen Rubin's third loophole is the tomorrow loophole, which is, it's okay to skip this today because I'm going to do this tomorrow. Or I'm going to start tomorrow or on Monday, so I should live a little or get it out of my system before then. Kind of well, I'm going to have one last hurrah before I really get serious and get on my plan. Or, the way that Gretchen Rubin initially frames it, it's okay if I skip my workout today because I'll just do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and you're like, it's okay if I skip it today. I'll do it tomorrow.
Right. And I think that tomorrow is just a mirage, because we put all that pressure on our tomorrow selves to suddenly have the resolve, the willpower, the motivation, the plan in place perfectly to suddenly go from a before and after transition. Like Donald said, we'll just get it all out of our system. And then the new and improved version of ourselves is tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes.
Tomorrow is only a day away, as
forever,
as Annie says in the musical.
Well,
but forever, yes.
And doing that thing of once X happens, then I'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
So after prom, after Mother's Day, after Memorial Day, after 4th of July, when I get back from vacation, when I'm when that person comes back from maternity leave at work, once I turn in this project, once the temperatures cool down, once it gets a little bit warmer, once the, mosquitoes aren't so bad. There's always this reason that precludes you from doing the thing that you want to say. And looking at all of those outside variables keeps you from being adaptable and saying, okay, well, It's too cold. What could I do inside? It's too hot. What could I do like at a gym? It's just finding those ways to work around the things that you think are hard really makes a difference, because suddenly it's almost like trying to coordinate a date on the calendar with people. It's like, well, that's not going to work, and that's not going to work, and that's not going to work.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, well, why don't we try?
The older I get, the harder it is to find a date where, 4 groups of adults can all do something.
Right, and suddenly it's 2025 where you're like, well, I think there's a Tuesday that might work, but let's not actually like plan it now. Let's just talk again in a year and see if it's the right time. It's just never going to be the right time, because something is always going to come up that, again, because we've got competing motivations. Oh, well, I know I said that, but I didn't know I was going to have an opportunity to do X. Like, well, that was before I knew that this other thing was coming up.
Right.
And that's what always happens. There's always going to be something that is a different priority that might keep us from some ideal.
Yeah, only on a very slightly related topic. I've gotten much better as I've gotten older at just telling people no, like initially, just saying, no, I'm not interested in doing that, rather than like trying to come up with an excuse to stall to decide. And I think that it's really been helpful in my life in general.
Wow, that's very exciting. I didn't know that.
Speaking of very exciting.
Uh-oh. This is a lot of pressure.
We've gone through the Gretchen Rubin loopholes, and now it is time for the Catherine Weigel loopholes.
And I don't want to say that I'm on par with Gretchen Rubin. Which, it was funny. You said like she was an author, a podcaster, and a blogger. Like, I felt like it went down in extreme. It's almost like on the, in cars, how they have the thing that's like, wear your seatbelt because it could cause death or injury.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they lead with the big thing and then dial it back. So Gretchen Rubin, I am going to lead with hold on, I've got 3 myself. Hold on. Again, Donald doesn't know what they are. It's very exciting. Everybody's wondering.
She's stalling so she can turn a page, if I can let everyone behind the curtain.
Okay. So these are my sort of summer-based loopholes.
Summer-based. I'm gonna throw on my my swimsuit and my sunglasses and get ready to bask in the glow of your summer-based loopholes.
Summer-based loophole. Loophole number 1, which actually happened to me the very other day. No, that doesn't make sense. Recently. It happened to me recently. See?
Yeah.
It's just normal. The seasonal novelty shape loophole.
Oh.
Okay. So our friend Nicole,
like that.
friend of the show, Nicole, went to a Phillies game. It is an American baseball
Yes, the
team.
Philadelphia Phillies.
Right.
Yes.
Went to a Phillies game. My great-grandfather loved listening to Phillies games on his transistor radio.
Yeah.
And Nicole posted a photo of a pretzel, a soft pretzel, shaped like the Philadelphia Phillies P.
Oh, boy.
And I suddenly was like, give me a ticket to the ball game.
I know.
I need.
Have to have it.
Like, but I was like, this is my heritage. It is like a shape. If I eat this shape, it will mean that I am honoring my great-grandfather.
Yeah.
And there's also the, like, literally again the other day, what big once every 4 years thing is happening this summer?
Leap year.
But also
the Olympics.
The Olympics. Yeah. I was at the checkout stand the other day and saw Olympic gold medal shaped Reese's peanut butter cups.
I was going to bring up, before you even said that, I was going to say Reese's has gotten really good or terrible, depending on your point of view, at coming up with a new shape to fit each like special day of the month. And there's a new one in stores all the time. And they figured out that people go nuts when it's like, oh, I can only get this shape for this month.
But like the football shape, they've got the pumpkin shape, they've got the Easter egg shape. Like
they've got the Christmas trees.
Exactly. And suddenly it brings like, this feels seasonal and delicious. But now it goes the extra mile too of the oh, well, you deserve a medal. Here is a medal that tastes like peanut butter.
Right.
Like, what is better than that? But there's also like the donut cakes now that they have, where it's like donuts in the shape of a word like mom or birthday or whatever, and you're like, well, you got to eat the tips of the M part, you got to eat that, or the O, like you got whatever. I feel like I have done that before. Of like,
and I think that people do this all the time when it comes to like I need to eat this now because this is the only time of year when I can get this kind of a thing, or it's similar with the Shamrock Shake, limited time. Yeah. Like nothing makes me want to go get something like more than it being a limited time where if I don't get it now, I might not get it again.
Well, and like Valentine's Day pizza places have pizzas shaped like hearts. Like, and I'm sure we're just around the corner. I don't have any insights to Little Caesars or Domino's, but there's going to be like, show your patriotism with the eagle shaped pizza. Like, don't you want everyone to know that you love America? Like, so I feel like that is one of them. So that is the loophole. The novelty shape, the Mickey Mouse ears. What loophole are you invoking this summer because of a shape that feels like it's enhancing your life?
And just remember, when you invoke the novelty shape loophole, you might not like your own shape in the mirror.
Oh, there
afterwards.
We go.
Yeah,
there we go.
I just came up with that. I don't know.
Okay, so this one isn't like super funny, but it's real. So the all-inclusive loophole.
Oh yeah,
that can be a potluck buffet situation. That can be you're going on a vacation, you're going on a cruise you're going to a location, and it's all inclusive. You don't want to be the fool who doesn't get their money's worth by not taking every advantage to eat as much as you can to make sure that the proprietor of the business knows that they've made a terrible mistake,
right?
Making this an all-you-can-eat situation.
Yeah, and another version of this is like you have a coupon for a snack in air quotes, and like you're like, what you want is a water. But then somebody's like, well, the water is $3.50, but the giant Mickey Mouse shaped donut is $4.50. Well,
it's a better value.
You got to get the giant donut because it's a better value.
Well, and the whole we've talked about the buffet restaurants and that kind of thing, but it's almost like we feel we are getting hoodwinked or we are being taken advantage of if we don't get our money's worth out of a full situation. There can even be things that you buy that maybe have 9 things that you really like, even if it's like a crudité platter. I know that isn't really a problem for people, but maybe there's like honeydew or jicama or something in there that you don't even like, and you revenge eat it because you don't want to be a fool who doesn't get the full money's worth. But people do that with other things in life of just wanting that full value. Yeah,
I think I can say this on the podcast because no one involved in this story will listen to it, but I have a friend that his parents, when they would go out and get pizza, if the toppings were all the same price, they wouldn't let him get the vegetable toppings. They wouldn't let him get mushrooms and onions on a pizza. It would have to be the meat toppings because they were such a better value for the money. But it's A, they're more calorie. B, he didn't want sausage or pepperoni on the pizza. They wanted mushroom or onion, but his parents would make him get it anyway.
Yeah, so let go of that all you can eat. Again, it's all that is comfortable and reasonable, like an actual human would. That scarcity mentality of this is my only chance to tank up on every single thing is really dangerous for people like us who, 1, love the taste of food, and 2, are managing our weights. What all you can eat to normal humans might be different than what my impression is, where I see it as a challenge to be won and to be kicked out of a restaurant like Homer Simpson,
right?
For finding that loophole of everything. So just watch out with the
there was a Curb Your Enthusiasm on
gosh.
the final season where one of the characters got banned for eating too much at an all-you-can-eat place.
He just piled it up.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't fall off the plate, that's what you can eat. So, okay, we're gonna bring it home with the last and maybe the most. I'm attacking myself in this, Donald.
Oh boy, the self-attack. Like it's an inside job.
It is. It's an inside job, and most of what is inside is in our kitchen. And I'm going to tell you what that is.
Oh boy,
this is I'm going to sell it at the garage sale loophole. If you don't use if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. For example, this goes back to novelty things. I have a problem with collecting serveware and like novelty food making apparati that will be great at a yard sale.
Can confirm.
And that idea of like, well, I spent that sunk cost mentality of like, well, I already bought it, so I better use it or my husband is going to be mad at me. So
here's a little secret. I hardly even noticed any of it. Yeah. So I won't know whether you're using it or not.
But there's like, well, we bought this fondue pot. We might as well use it. I actually almost bought this the other day and then remembered who I am. This like melamine 4 dip chip like thing for all the parties we have by the pool, which doesn't happen. I was really like actually like playing in my mind, like, how could I use this? Because it's so pretty. I'm in my fantasy life, I'm an entertainer. In reality, I don't want anyone to come and visit.
So it's like, I have to use it or I have to sell it at the garage sale.
Right. Because we're actually going to hopefully have a yard sale soon.
We've been talking about having a yard sale for so long. This feels like we've probably like had a whole bunch of loopholes that have pushed it down the road.
But it's that thing of like, I pulled out something the other day, like let's say it was like one of those like plastic microwave s'mores makers. And I'm like, oh, well, I should get rid of this at the yard sale. But you know what? I forgot I even had this. I should really start making microwavable s'mores. Yeah. Like now I want to get my money's worth out of it.
I think it's actually, I in some cases I've managed to turn this garage sale loophole into a positive where I have stop myself from buying certain things because I realize I have other things that are already going to go to the yard sale, garage sale. And it's sort of like, well, do I want another thing that I might down the road end up, that really doesn't have much to do with weight loss and fitness. But I think maybe as I'm thinking about it, telling yourself like, I don't need another thing that's going to encourage me to eat food. Yeah. Maybe I won't buy it in the first place.
Yeah. I know that Alton Brown on his show, Good Eats back in the day, talked about not having single kitchen use items. Like don't just buy a panini press, buy something that is multifunctional. But like, I'm sure each of our listeners probably has one of these at home, like one of those 3-tiered things for the one time you have a tea party in your adult life.
A melon baller.
Right. An ice cream maker, a bread maker. I was just telling my sister the other day, my dad used to have a bread maker that looked kind of like R2-D2.
Yeah.
And like, how can you get rid of R2-D2?
No,
like,
you can't. He's a hero of the rebellion. You can't discard him.
He is. I also saw the other day, or actually the other day, 10 minutes before we recorded this podcast.
Yeah.
Novelty waffle makers are really big.
I can't even tell you how many times I've thought about buying like a waffle maker that makes like Darth Vader shaped waffles or Mickey Mouse shaped waffles.
There are so many. There was one for little trucks so that little kids would eat waffles.
Yeah, no, we need that.
There was one that I saw that was it was the size of an actual computer keyboard so that you can make a giant novelty waffle that looks like a keyboard. God. Who does it? But like in this world where we're like, what do I buy the foodie who has everything? You buy some sort of novelty thing. And half of our kitchen is filled with the like just in case chafing dishes, cake like covered things that like isn't really part of my life now.
No.
And I feel like I've invested in them. So there is an instinct to want to keep them because we don't want to waste money. But the flip side of that is using it means eating a lot of calories that maybe are not great for you, and realizing that certain times of our lives we identify as bakers or whatever we are, but like that doesn't really fit with who I want to be in the future. I don't see myself as a super physically fit person having my own chocolate fountain where I'm still mad about it, went to a wedding maybe 14 years ago and they had chocolate fountains and we left before the dessert portion. And I'm still haunted by it.
Still haunted, yeah.
I barely remember the groom's name, but I remember the multitude of chocolate fountains. And so like that focus on gadgets and gizmos, again, think it might be time for me to let go of some of those at our upcoming yard sale, because I don't see that in the collage of the super fit person that I am working on becoming.
Absolutely. So I think we will wrap it up. Let's just briefly recap. The loopholes for this episode were the false choice loophole, the moral licensing loophole, the tomorrow loophole, the novelty shape loophole, the all-inclusive loophole, and the garage sale loophole.
So today we've given you 6 potential loopholes that you can look at. What feels like something that you maybe cringed at when you heard about it, when you realized that you had been called out? How can you in the next week sort of pay attention to the language that you're using, the excuses that you're making that feel like reasons that are really trying to get you away from what your long-term goals are? Ask yourself some questions. What can I do in this time, even if it's not ideal? What small habit can I keep in place, even if it isn't the best place, or, isn't the best day to keep it together? The more we understand the way our brains work, the more we can pay close attention to the excuses that we make and work past them, the more likely we are to be able to hold on to our habits and goals in the long term.
Yes, indeed. So thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this episode, all of our episodes are available wherever you found this one on all of the major podcast platforms, or at least the most recent 300 are. You can go all the way back to episode 1 on both YouTube and on our website. We have every single episode up there at weonlylookthin.com.
Yep, and if you are at weonlylookthin.com, you can click on that link for Join Our Support Group. To find out more about Wolt Place, We Only Look Thin Place is our Facebook-based accountability group for women. We are not a weight loss plan, but we are a place for accountability and support and fellowship on whatever plan you are following. Many times it is not the specific plan that matters, but our mindset around what we're doing and what control we can take in our lives. So if you would like more information on Wolt Place, head over to our website. We have 2 subscription options, a monthly Wolt Place subscription with a 3-day complimentary trial and a 3-month subscription with a 7-day complimentary trial to see if Wolt Place is right for you.
So check it out. And you can also check us out on the social medias. We are on Instagram and Facebook at We Only Look Thin. Or if you'd like to interact with us in a slightly more old-fashioned way, you can email us to weonlylookthin@gmail.com. We appreciate episode suggestions. We appreciate compliments. Or if you just want to say hello, that's also cool too. Once again, to weonlylookthin@gmail.com.
Yep, and if you have a couple of extra minutes and can head over to Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and a review. Not only does it let us know that what we're doing after all of these years is still connecting with new listeners, but it also helps the algorithms in outer space lead people toward our podcast.
Yes, people in outer space follow the algorithms to us.
I know we're all basically on Earth, But isn't everyone really in outer space?
We're all basically on
I don't know where people are listening. Oh, we got new. Anyway, I always do this when we get to this part where I'm going to talk about ratings and reviews. Then I look at Apple Podcasts and get totally distracted. But looks like we got a new rating and a review. So when we get off this podcast, I will read it. I won't do it now.
Sounds good to me. Maybe we can read it together.
Won't that be fun?
That'll be fun. Another thing you could do that would really help us out is just tell somebody about the show. If you're having a conversation and it comes up, if you know someone you think might enjoy our show or get something out of it and you could recommend it, that would be really helpful. Or if you are on the internet, is something like a Reddit group or a Discord server or a Facebook group, and it seems appropriate to give us a shout out, we would really appreciate it. Word of mouth is one of the best and most effective ways in which the show grows.
Yep.
So if you're now thinking about ways in which you can make Darth Vader-shaped falafel in your waffle maker, please instead try and remember that Catherine and I are an inspiration. The information that you hear on this podcast is for informational purposes only. The hosts are not medical professionals. You should always consult with your doctor, nurse, or other certified health professional before beginning any diet or fitness program.